Welcome to Career in Ruins. I've come down to Hengistbury Head in Dorset, which is an Iron Age promontory fort. And I'm going to catch up with my friend, colleague and former PhD student, Dr Hayden Scott-Pratt, who's the curator of the visitor centre here.
And he has a fantastic career in ruins.
Hayden, welcome to Career in Ruins.
Oh, I can't believe it.
I can't believe we're doing this interview in a reconstructed Iron Age roundhouse. There's lots I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
First of all, can you just tell me how on earth you started working here and built a roundhouse? How did you get to where you are today?
It seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, I started here when I did my PhD with Dorset University, called Performing the Past, and as part of a grant-funded project from the lottery funds to look at heritage and hands-on interaction with specialists and materials. So it's a fantastic project. I volunteered as well as doing my PhD as kind of the academic portion of the project. And I discovered this fantastic community of volunteers who are just so passionate about heritage and just wanted to learn as much as I wanted to learn. So over 3 years, we built that project and we explored things like ceramics, pottery, glass, metal, all of the archaeology that's essentially represented in the archaeological collections we have from Hengistbury Head. So this site goes back 12,500 years to the late Upper Paleolithic, last ice age, and we have pretty much continuous human habitation through to the Roman period. So that's exceptional and very rare in Britain and Europe as a site. And we have that all here in our collections in the museum. So it was a fantastic project. It was one of the best times of my life. And luckily, after that project finished, I then applied for the job here as curator. I got that job and I started working here full time. And that has been sort of the history up till recently.
Wow, so you did your PhD based on stuff from Hengistbury Head as part of that project.
Yeah.
What got you into this kind of world? Because right now, would you describe yourself as a curator or an experimental archaeologist or a materials analyst? What are you?
I'm a bit of all three, you know, because like there's an intersection between all these things, right? None of them exist in isolation, and they all depend on the others to kind of gain information and knowledge about the past. So yes, I work as a curator, but my PhD is in experimental archaeology, but I also do lots of materials analysis, and I like to apply all those skills to the collections here and to the work we do out here in our Iron Age village as well. So it's great, you know, we get to apply cutting edge scientific techniques to ancient materials and then interpret that history and engage members of the public with it.
Wow, so what got you into that? What spurred your interest into those quite niche parts of archaeology?
That would be you. Yeah, that would be you.
I'll give you the money later.
Yeah, that would be you. So that was my undergraduate dissertation, right? I came to Bournemouth, like no idea about archaeology, like completely through. It was going to be sociology at Southampton. I applied for psychology at Bath, didn't get it. And then I applied for archaeology, anthropology and forensics at Bournemouth, and it was the best decision of my life, you know. That completely has shaped my entire life up until this point. And it was when I wanted a dissertation and I said I wanted to make axe heads and see if they could be weapons, and you said, well, let's try and make an axe head, and we did copper smelting in simple pit furnaces, and I never looked back. It completely captured my imagination.
In a way, what I love about your career is you kind of started with this early Bronze Age, really basic stuff, and you're getting more and more complex in what you're building as your career goes on.
Yeah. Someone has literally said, do you want to come and build a reverberatory furnace? Which is like there's like a medal. I was like, yes, 100%. So there is a progression to it. Yeah, it's great.
So before I come back to what we're doing today, I'm going to hit you with some podcast questions.
Okay, nice.
Just while we're here.
Yeah.
You've had a decent career. You've done lots of things. And you've done lots of projects outside of Hengistbury as well. Is there any aspect of your career you're particularly proud of?
I love my PhD. I know a lot of people really hate theirs or they find it very difficult, and it is a massive challenge, but you know, like I spent 3 years working on the metalworking assemblage from this site, and this site's incredible, and its metalworking assemblage is incredible, and I loved that time at Bournemouth University and really just getting to spend the time, you know, really getting into the detail of stuff, really understanding it, and yeah, that's and I'm still working on that research now. It never really ends, you know, so that's probably. Yeah, and those early projects where you go on undergraduate, when you go to Spain and Greece, and you know you work hard, you play hard, you have a really nice time. You know, that was good friends there. You know,
we did have some fun.
We had some good fun. Yeah.
Oh wow, that covers pride quite nicely, and I think it is quite rare to find an archaeologist who's proud of their PhD in a way, because you end up kind of looking back and going, oh, that was so hard.
Well, it is. I mean, you know, they are. I mean, there's a reason why, right? It's really tough. But like, no, I really enjoyed mine. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky in that respect. I had good supervisors as well. You know, some people have really monstrous supervisors. I had really good ones. So it was a pleasure for me.
Again, this podcast doing wonders for me.
Yeah.
So how about envy? Things that other people do that you might be envious of?
God, I mean, there are people who get to look at ancient metalworking slag as a full-time job. And I do feel, you know, I'm very lucky. I'm very grateful to be a curator and have a really good job in heritage. They're very rare, they're very hard to get, you know. Funding is scarce, you know, but at the same time, you know, I do really love ancient metalworking and I do really love ancient slag, you know. It's lots of puns and jokes, but people get to do it all the time, you know. And that's what I would like to do.
That's a good envy, and I'm kind of with you there, actually. Yeah. I miss the days of just sitting on an SEM.
Just sitting in the lab, you know?
Yeah, just analysing things, doing a bit of experimental work, doing a bit of analysis. It was glory days. But those days will come.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to do your job, you know?
So, before I move on to today, which I do want to talk about a little bit, if you had, Lawrence and I have made a time machine.
Okay, yeah.
And we give all of our guests a return ticket. If we were to give you a return ticket to anywhere in the past, when in the past, where would you go and why?
Oh no, it's so sad. But I would probably come to this site, and that's really sad. But I would come to this site in around 100 BC, which is the peak of the Iron Age here. This site is the largest international port of trade in the whole of Britain, right? You have people from the Mediterranean, we have some evidence of people from Northern Africa, like just completely this incredible cultural mixing pot, right? And all these incredible crafts happening, glassworking, metalworking, brassworking. I'd want to come and just walk on the beach just by the visitor centre and listen to all the voices. You know, just listen to the voices, the different voices, see the different people, not be invisible, you know, not be able to interact, because obviously we're like, you know, drag him off somewhere. But like, you know, I would just love to see that and peek over the shoulders of the craftspeople as they go about their daily business, not as like a performative experiment or whatever, just doing their lives.
That's a perfect answer, and I think I'd join you on that one. That's a really lovely trip. Now, you've mentioned the melting pot of the Iron Age here, and we know the site kind of carries on into the Roman period. Yeah. In those two particular phases, why is Hengistbury Head so special?
It's partially just because of its geography. Like it's a natural harbour. It's situated ideally in southern Britain, so at the time the trading routes come directly across, and Hengistbury is like it's the perfect trade location. So it becomes this massive port. And because you have that mixing of different people and you have lots of movement of people happening on the continent with the Roman Empire moving about, you get technologies moving with people and ideas and that cross mixing of like different societies, and that's just really interesting. So you get these crafts turning up here that are just quite rare elsewhere, and it could possibly also have been, you know, the capital of the local tribe. So there's that centralization of making coinage, minting, making high status goods like glass, fittings for chariots. You know, it's all happening here. So it's quite an exciting place.
So Hengistbury Head, geographically, it's a promontory fort, isn't it, ultimately?
Yes,
so you've got a peninsula with a fortification and an entranceway facing inland, and then you've got a harbour and the English Channel on the other side. Yeah. What sort of evidence archaeologically do you get for that contact with the continent?
Oh, huge amounts, right? So we have something called amphorae, which is basically these big ceramic vases that hold things like olive oil, fish sauce, and wine. They are produced and exported from areas of the Mediterranean and Central Europe. So they have to have come from elsewhere. So we have both something called Dressel and Pascal. The later type comes from the region of Catalan. So we have those here. We have one of the largest assemblages in the whole of the UK of that. And we also have one of the largest assemblages of what's called a Moroccan pottery, which is basically pottery that's made by the society over the channel on the other side. So over in sort of across in France. So we have a huge amount of that here, to the point where we may think there was actually a community of those people living here, cooking in their own home pots from their home, you know, their tribes and their own sort of villages, you know.
So almost like a Northern European colony.
Yeah, like an enclave, right? Living here seasonally, and like there's that much connection happening, right?
So we see a lot of stuff coming in then, but do we know what was going out?
Not as much. Well, no, that's not true. The local pottery, black burnish ware, is produced in like sort of incredible amounts. Most of it happening at Poole Harbour, but a lot of it being exported through Britain. So we find that across many countries in Europe, all being exported. Most pots probably weren't being exported empty. So probably being exported stuff in them. So that could be grain, that could be salted meat, that could be other sort of goods like that are archaeologically invisible. And we know other sort of literary sources from the Romans saying, well, they export lots of iron, they export lots of cattle, hunting dogs, also slaves. So if Hengistbury is that central port, nearly all of those goods are coming out and it's being exported through here.
So we often think of kind of the Romans coming to Britain and bringing that interconnected Europe, but it sounds like in the Iron Age there's a lot of connection and interaction happening as well.
It's not just the Iron Age, it goes all the way back. You know, if you think at one point we're a continuous landmass, you can walk across to Europe, so there isn't any real separation. And then you talk about the beaker folk, right? Coming across, bringing that technology from from Spain and from Europe, right? And bringing the technology of bronze working and types of pottery, and then really all the way through. So it doesn't really stop, but obviously it really intensifies in a very obvious way in the Iron Age here.
That's fantastic. So moving to a more kind of focused perspective, we're sitting in a roundhouse now, which I know you had a very guiding hand in building.
Yeah.
Talk me through this experimental area and how it kind of works with Hengistbury Head.
So it's born from that project I talked about, which performed in the past, and it was such a success, and our volunteers just didn't want to stop, and we didn't want to stop. Right, we created this fantastic opportunity to engage the public with archaeology in a tangible and accessible way, which is exactly what museums should be doing. So we want to build on that. So we thought we want to build a roundhouse, right? There's nothing better to symbolise the Iron Age, the peak of this site, the iconic roundhouse. So we got some more funding from the National Lottery Fund, which was very, very kind. And was called the Living in the Round, right? And it started off this seed, this embryo of an Iron Age village where in 2023 we designed, got all the raw materials, built this entire structure by hand using traditional tools, which is a feat. Some of these, you can't see these, but some of these timbers behind us were like trunks of oak, split by hand with wooden wedges and hammers. It was great fun. And we built this structure as a focal point for exploring intangible heritage like art, music, song, quite difficult things for archaeologists to get into. We like material culture, but actually quite difficult. So we did a bit of that. And our volunteers continued to grow. And then we looked at this whole area and said, actually, we need to think about how we use this as a way to engage the public. And it's become part of the museum now. We look at our collections and our holdings. We look at it and see what can we interpret, what can we bring to life for the public. We come out here, we replicate it. We get schools in, we get members of the public, we do classes and workshops, and now it's actually forming part of our business. You know, we actually run events here, we run school groups, and it's helping support the centre, which is really good because museums are, as many educational institutions, are under steep financial pressure all the time. So, you know.
So this, I mean, it's a very rare thing, isn't it, to have both a roundhouse and an experimental centre within a historic monument, because we are actually in Hengistbury Head, aren't we? We're in where these roundhouses potentially could have been. So how does everything else in this area kind of fit in with telling the story of Hengistbury Head?
Well, yeah, you're right. So we're actually on a scheduled monument. So I always forget that because I walk to work every day through the entranceway to Double Dykes, this huge Middle Iron Age earthwork, you know, that was built, 2,500 years ago. But we're actually on a scheduled site. So we're very rare in the whole of UK. I'm not sure how many other examples. I know Stonehenge has a couple, but that's all I know of. So that's a really interesting and opportunity to talk about heritage on heritage sites rather than as a separated thing. But it's not just that Iron Age aspect. We have hunter-gatherer campsites here, we have a Neolithic site, we have a whole series, a necropolis of Bronze Age burial mounds. So we're trying to bring all of those aspects to life in this experimental area. So we've got a Mesolithic hunter-gatherer hut that we've built out of local reed and local hazel that we've collected. We have an Iron Age logboat. We've done pottery firings of sort of Neolithic style through to the Roman period. And we're just trying to, and we're starting to grow. We have some growing beds where we're growing different plants from the periods, including the beginnings of agriculture, first cereals, and doing some ancient cooking as well. So it's a challenge because it's a nature reserve. It's a public space. We have 1.2 million people come here to walk their dogs every year. You know, it's about 500,000 dogs. It's a lot of dogs. But the vast majority have no idea about the heritage of the area. Be that the early parts, the late parts. So we're trying to bring that to life here, and it works very well. We've also got like some new signage out on the site that interprets each ancient site as you go by it, as you walk. But that's kind of that's the plan.
So what's next? With all of this done, what's happening here in the future? What's the ambition? What's the aim?
Well, you know, we were hoping to find a boat in the harbour and rebuild one of the Roman trade boats. That would be the peak. Because you know, you're 100 years of biggest port, and someone crashed a boat.
Yeah,
someone crashed a boat somewhere. You know, it's just sheer statistical odds. But that might not happen. So what I want to do is I want to raise the awareness of the site for the members of the public. And it's probably going to be for another ancient structure. Now that might be a roundhouse, that might be a hot works building. But we don't know. We could reconstruct double dikes. You know, portion of it was rebuilt in the 80s because it was worn down. So there's an argument there that part of it isn't actually the original.
So you
one.
could put a palisade on top.
Rebuild it, put the palisade in. Now, can you imagine that? Across both sides, right? It's like Jurassic Park.
What a dream that would be. I will come back and film that when you do it. Oh, thank you very much, Hayden. This has been fantastic to learn about. And if anyone wants to come to Hengistbury Head, do come on down, have a look at it. Come and see Hayden, see the place. It's an incredible place to visit. And if you want to know more, where can people go to find more?
We have a brand new website, so visit Hengistbury Head or just Google Hengistbury Head Visitor Centre. We're open 7 days a week, 364 days a year.
Perfect.